All right, what's up, familia? Welcome inside the big week. Hope you guys are doing good. Keeping between the lines. Got your load secure. Okay, man. So, a few things that I keep on hearing, right? I hear, and it just keeps going around in a circle like a dog just chasing its tail, just over and over and over and over, man. Um, and that is this. One is I hear a lot of adults keep on saying, tell your kids you love them. Hug your kids, kiss your kids, tell them you love them, show them affection, show them you love them. Tell them you love them all the time. And then I keep hearing adults just saying, man, I tell my kids I love them all the time, all the time. I tell my kids I love them. Okay. And then I hear the same adults complaining about kids. Oh man, kids today don't have respect. Man, kids today, man, they don't have respect for their elders. Man, kids today, they're just they're just running wild. Man, kids today, they're just destructive, man. They just don't have no respect for anybody. All right. Okay. A lot of adults today are scarred. All right. First of all, man, I don't even really complain about youngsters or kids today because I see a lot of adults acting like a bunch of buffoons. All right. People in their 30s, 40s, heck, 50s acting like a bunch of jackasses. So, I'm not going to sit here and start running my mouth on youngsters. Because there's a lot of adults out there, dog, acting like a bunch of jackasses, a bunch of donkeys, Holmes. But I won't get into it on this one. So, anyway, man, look, this whole thing about tell your kids you love them, okay? For those that don't know, I'll go ahead and I'll let you guys know. I rarely tell my sons I love them, okay? I got two sons. They're adults now, right? They're not kids. You could call them kids, but they're adults, right? I rarely ever tell them I love them. Okay. Now, do they know that I love them? Yes, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. They know that. Let this truck pass by. But also understand that a lot of adults are scarred. You have a lot of adults coming out from an era where their parents didn't tell them they loved them, right? Like, oh man, my dad never told me he loved me, or I grew up without a dad, or I just never had that affection. So be careful now. If you are that adult, and you ain't gotta listen to me, raise your kids however the heck you want to raise them. They're not my kids; they're your kids. I'm just giving my 2 cents on this because I hear people talking on both sides of their mouth. Oh man, kids today, they got no respect, they got no discipline, they got, they're just running wild. And then, oh man, tell your kids you love them, tell them you love them, hug them, kiss them, tell them you love them. All right. Be careful on overcompensating because of your childhood. Be careful with that. Oh man, I'm going to tell my kids I love them all the time because I know what it's like, for my parents not to tell me they love me, man. Be careful with that. Because remember this, you know what that's like. They don't. And you want them to grow up a certain way, but you're smothering them. You're spoiling them. Especially when you start talking about young boys, young chavalillos, who you want them to grow up and become men. Be careful with the always smothering and the kissing and I love you, son, and I love you, and hugs and kisses. Be careful with all that. On what's that doing to them and how they're growing up. And then when they get older, you're like, man, when I was his age, man, I didn't cry when this happened or that happened, or I was a little bit more roughhouse. Okay. Understand what you're doing. Remember this. You don't know what it's like. You don't know what it's like to have a parent just overly telling you, I love you, I love you, I love you. So now you're overcompensating and you're over smothering. Be careful with that. Again, don't listen to me, Holmes. They're your kids, not mine. Right? Anybody could give me advice on how to raise my sons. That's cool. I don't have to take it. I mean, my sons, they're adults already, but be careful with all that. Check this out. I've said this before. I'm gonna say it again. All right. I'm a hardcore wrestling fan. I am, man. I am. Check out my wrestling channel, Wrestling Rehab. Shouts to all the junkies, homes. So anyway, when I was a kid, we didn't have a lot of money, right? Raised by a single mom. Shouts to my mom, man. I love her. I love her very much. And she wasn't able to buy. Back then there were pay-per-views. Today they're called PLEs, but she wasn't able to buy pay-per-views. And back then there was only four pay-per-views, major pay-per-views, right, to buy. She didn't have the money to be purchasing those things, man. She purchased 2 when I was a kid. 2. And man, homie, you felt like, I felt like I was going to Disneyland or something. Like, damn, look at this, man. Heck yeah. I remember the pay-per-views as well that she purchased. It was the Survivor Series, and it was WrestleMania. All right. So check this out. I was a kid, right? I knew what it was like to want, and by the way, back then there was no social media, homie. We were talking about the 80s, the early 90s. There was none of that, right? If you missed it, you missed it. You didn't watch it. That's that. If they made it on VHS, you could pick it up, I don't know, like 6-8 months later. But I had said when I was a kid, I said, you know what? When I grow up and I'm a dad and I have kids and they like wrestling, I'm going to get them every single pay-per-view because I know what it's like not to have pay-per-views. I know what it's like to want it and not get it. No matter how good I was, yeah, man, we didn't have that feria, Holmes, right? So I was, and my mom, man, God bless her and everything, but to my mom, wrestling was silly, it was dumb, it was stupid, and, to so many people, it still is, man, and that's fine, that's cool. Everybody get their entertainment how they want to get it, but my point is, because I was scarred with that, right, as a kid, of like, damn, man, I know what it's like not to have it. And when I have kids, which I did, I had 2 sons. I got 2 sons, right? Just like my mom, she had 2 sons. I ended up having 2 sons. And I said, man, I know what it's like not to get it. They became wrestling fans, of course, man. Being around me, they're going to become wrestling fans, Holmes. So, fast forward now to a day and age where they're at an age where they're able to realize what's going on. I was getting all the pay-per-views. And by the way, at that point, there was pay-per-views every single month. So I was coming out of my pocket, homie, kind of deep, And I remember this one time. And I remember this is where it hit me. This is where it hit me. It was a pay-per-view Backlash. All right? Some of you guys have no idea what the heck I'm talking about. That's cool, right? I ordered it. Okay. Now, me myself, I wasn't able to sit down and watch it, but I ordered it for them. We had a little, small little game room for them where they could go kick it and play video games and all that stuff. Now, there's a pay-per-view that I ordered, paid out of my, paid feria. I mean, it's not just on, regular cable television. Nah, I paid for it. I go to the game room and they're outside playing while the pay-per-view is on. And I'm like, hey, what are you guys doing? I ordered Backlash, man, so you guys could watch it. And they're like, oh, well, we'll just watch the main event. It was at that point that I had realized that they were spoiled with it. See, they didn't know what it was like not to get one of those pay-per-views. I knew what it was like, not them. Because when my mom ordered those 2 pay-per-views, homie, I would hold, if I needed to take a piss, man, I would hold it as long as I can, run, because ain't no commercials, run to the restroom, hurry up, do what I gotta do, come right back. I'm not missing a single second. But see, I knew what that was like. They didn't. That's when it hit me. That's why I'm telling parents, be careful with the over smothering. Because you're over here talking about, oh man, tell your kids you love them. Tell them you love them. Oh man, I want to give my kids everything that I didn't have, man, because I know what it's like not to have it. I'm going to tell my kids I love them all the time because I know what it's like for your parents not to tell you love it. Be careful. Be careful with the overcompensation of it. Because just like how you're telling, oh man, parents, tell your kids you love them. Tell them you love them. Tell them you love them. You're also complaining about kids today, man. About the lack of respect that they have. They don't care. They're just running wild, whatever it may be. Understand the spoiled brats that you're raising and what that does to them. Remember this, parents. You know what it's like to go through this or to not have that. They don't. So you got to make sure you have a good balance right there. Okay? Have a good balance. Because you were over here when you were growing up. And you're like, man, I'm going to make sure my kids are never over here. You overdo it and come all the way on this side. As opposed to, you know what? Yeah, I don't want my kids to be over here, but I'm going to keep it somewhere right here. Somewhere right here. Every now and then, I'll let them touch over there, right? This side. And every now and then, I'll let them fall over here, right? So they could get that experience. As opposed to, boom, they're just going to be over here. They're never going to be here. They're never going to be over here. They're just going to be here all the time because I know what it's like to be over here. And then you're going to go and complain about youngsters today and how they're acting and how they're wild and the lack of respect and all this stuff. So, you want to tell your kids you love them? Sure, tell them you love them. That's fine. But don't overdo it. Don't smother them too much. That's my advice. They're your kids, man. You do whatever you want with them. Okay, you raise them however the heck you want to raise them. But then don't go complain about youngsters. So, oh man, kids need love. Kids need love. Nah, homie. No. You know what? You need love. You as an adult, you need love because you're still scarred from your childhood that you have not gotten over it. That's really what it is. All this, man, kids need love. Hug them and kiss them. Tell them you love them. That's you. That's you. That's the little kid in you crying out. Scarred because you have not gotten over that. And I get it, Holmes. I get it. I was there too, dog. Childhood wasn't all, sunshine and rainbows, homie. But you don't want to overdo it with the kids. A nice, good, healthy balance. And you are going to have to let them fall. Every now and then, yeah, man. Let them fall. Let them fall. Let them get all the cuts, bumps, and bruises that life has to get. They got to get that callous, that toughness. Because you got the same people talking about, oh man, people are weak these days. Oh man, people get offended so easily these days. Oh man, you know what? People are just soft these days. You're part of that. You are part of that. All right? You don't need to be smothering your kids like that for them to know that they love. For them to know that you love them. Okay? You want to tell your kids you love them? That's fine. Tell them you love them. Hug them. Kiss them. Show that affection that you love them. That's fine. That's A-okay. I'm not telling anybody not to do it. I'm not telling anybody to raise their kids the way I raised my sons. All right? I rarely ever tell my sons I love them. But they will tell you this. They know damn well I love them. Okay? I'm not telling anybody to do that with their kids. They are your kids. You raise them however you want to raise them. I'm just pointing out the dangers of you being scarred from your childhood and overdoing it. And then complaining about how youngsters are today. Oh man, no respect. They're not disciplined. They're running wild. They don't care. They're soft. They're easily offended. You played a role in that. All right? So look at your own scars from a childhood and see if you're over that. Because whenever I hear people just talking about, man, just hug your kids, kiss them, they need love, they need this, they need that. Oh man, just keep tell your kids you love them, tell your kids you love them. Usually it comes from parents. Usually it comes from adults that had that kind of childhood. And it's like, okay, now you're overcompensating, man. And those kids are going to grow up to be a certain way when they're adults. These spoiled, bratty type of people. And you're going to be complaining about, oh man, people today, they're just soft. They're entitled. They're this, they're that. You played a role in that. All right? So yeah, yes, definitely need to love your kids, obviously. You need some tough love in there. Every now and then, you need to be a little bit like John Kreese from The Karate Kid. Rip your sleeves off your karate gi. Sometimes you need to be a little bit more softer and everything like Mr. Miyagi, Holmes, all right? But there's got to be that balance. Okay? Just because you were over here when you were a kid, you're all scarred and jacked up. Now you want to be all the way over here. Have it here every now and then. Let it go back and forth, man. Let the kids get some bumps and bruises, Holmes. And I'm not talking about just physically. I mean just in life in general. But I'll go ahead. I'll leave it right there, familia. As always, live your life like you're on the road. Be aware of your surroundings and always keep a safe distance. Blood, make sure you lay below to me, fam. Until next time, this is Ed the Troll Trucker. Over and out.